Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to a stream and another chapter. Another chapter working on that guy right there. That's our 1969 Corvette 427, not 429 like the picture shows. We're in the intro and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're back and we're going to continue on this, although I can't really do too much today, so this might be a short video. What I did off camera since last time, I wet sanded the body because we did our first coat of black on it. So I wet sanded it and I did another coat, and so now I'm just waiting for it to cure, and I might be able to wet sand it in a few more hours as this hardens a little bit. It's not perfect, it still needs work, but it's a progress that you have to do. You got to do layers and layers and layers. I'll change the camera, you can see a little bit better of what we got going on so far. So yeah, she does look pretty glossy. Got a few little imperfections there. You might be able to see it in certain light. It's like you might be able to see a little bit of scratches through there. But it looks pretty good. It's not bad. We're at a good start. I got some scratches here that need to buff. I need to sand out for the next coat. The sides look pretty good. Not really anything to worry about on those. So on that, but yeah. So the body is. We're getting there, right? We're gonna need at least one more coat, at least one more. But yeah. So there we go. We're getting there. Okay. We are getting there. So I'll just put this back here to the side so she can just happily sit over there. So you saw last time we got our engine installed. The only thing I did since last time is I just cleaned up our upper radiator hose in the connection there a little bit and make it look a little bit more like it's actually connected to the radiator. And I painted the hoses with the rubber black. Let's show you here. So yeah, my upper rad hose actually connects to the rad a little bit better, and if I turn it like this, you can tell it's really not connected properly, but from the top, which is going to be what you see it looks okay. And of course the hoses are rubber black, so yeah, looks a little bit better. There you go. So that leads us to today. What are we doing today? Well, we got to work on the tires. The tires are kind of the next step in our progress. And so the tires have a bunch of flashing on them, and we need to rough them up a little bit. So I'll show you here. This is what the tires look like out of the kit, and you can see that flashing in the center here where the two molds came together. So what I used to do when I was younger is I didn't have to change my glasses, but that's what I got to do now. I used to just take my hobby knife and just go across the flash like this and just kind of scrape it off and leave it like that. Now I have learned a much better way. We're still going to do this, okay, but we're going to use some sandpaper and a drill. So I'm going to use, this happens to be 80 grit sandpaper, so this is pretty coarse stuff. Now if you don't have a drill, you could just do it by hand. Go like this and rough up your tires like that, okay, and do that. But I have a drill. So where is my drill? Here it is. So I went through my sockets and I found a socket that fits our tires really tight. Okay, so that's gonna press on over like that. Okay, and then we're going to take our drill, put that on there, and we're going to spin the tire on the sandpaper like this. And there we go. So this is 80 grit sandpaper, so I could wear this down smooth if I really wanted to, but I don't want to make it smooth. I just want to get rid of that and make the tire look like it's actually been driven on. That's the whole point of this. So then we'll just pull this off of here. It's a tight fit. You want to have a tight fit, otherwise the tire's just going to spin on the socket. So there's one done. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, she's tight. She's tight like a tiger. And I think that's good enough for that one. Well, maybe not quite. Now that's good enough. Doesn't take much when you've got such a coarse sandpaper. If I was using something like 180 grit, it would take a little bit longer. And yeah, it would have a little more control over just how much I could take off, but that's okay. There we go. That was good enough for that one. Doink. One more to go. And that tire's done too. There we go. Tires are done. So, you know, the drill sure makes everything a lot quicker. And so that's that. Power tools. Power tools. Use them if you got them. If you don't, it just takes longer. You can do the same thing by hand. It's just going to take you a lot longer, that's all. That's really the only difference. But one nice thing about the drill and using that, if you wanted to give it like the look that maybe the guy's been doing lots of burnouts and his tires are going bald, you could just do more and more and wear down your tread pattern even more if you wanted. It's all up to you. Okay, let's look at the instructions. What is involved with our wheels assembly? It looks like all we have is the outer and the inner halves of our wheels, and that's it. So let's get our nice little pretty Corvette rallies off of the sprue. I'm probably going to have to touch up the spots on the rims where it's in contact with the sprue and clean up my chrome. I don't know for sure. We'll find out. Now these have been sitting for a few days. I used which chrome did I use? Guys all over the Facebook groups and stuff like that have been raving this Fusion Firm Ultra Shining Chrome. Comes with two. I haven't clear coated them. I haven't bothered. I just did it and left them for, I think it's been about 3-4 days or something like that. So it should be okay enough, strong enough that I can, you know, put them in the wheels, put them in the tires and not really worry about it. These tires are kind of directional. They have lettering on one side but not the other. So I'm going to make sure I got them all the same direction. And of course I had 3 of the 4 were down. So do that. I want to try and not touch it with my fingers because I am just wary about it being fragile. They fit in there pretty good. I can't complain about the fitment. Well, I could if I wanted, I suppose, but I don't want to. There we go. There we go. So we just got to do with the back sides. So where are those pieces? They're back here behind me. I have these painted aluminum. Nothing special. They're the back sides of the wheels that, you know, the only time you see them is if you pick up the model. So it doesn't really matter to me. I don't need to make them chrome or anything like that. Just gonna chop up our sprue here. There we go. Okay, let's flip our wheels over. Now, I don't know exactly how much contact we're going to get between the two wheel halves. Sometimes you get a good contact for glue and sometimes they don't even touch. It's really kind of random. And of course you can't, unless you're using CA glue, you can't glue them to the tires. So you're relying on contact in there. Okay, so I don't know how much contact it is. I don't want to squish on there. I don't want to put my fingerprint, just in case the chrome is still fragile. I don't want to touch it with my fingers. But that's it. There's one wheel. Okay, just like that. And they look really nice, right? Those Corvette rallies really are a nice classic rim. As you can see, basically the contact is just this little ring around here. That's going to be the contact between the two halves. And I should clean up my nubs a little bit on here. Just because, you know, just because I don't see it doesn't mean that it's going to fit properly. Something I should have done with the first one was check my nubs. I didn't check them. So that's my bad, my bad. Okay. Let's go around that little ring in there. Shove that down. Okay, there's another one. We're kind of at the stage in this build where I need to have the body done in order to do more. So I'm kind of limited in what I can do without the body being done. There we go. All right, so our wheels are assembled. Just like that. This one seems to have popped out a little bit. Let's just make sure. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Okay. There's our wheels. 4 wheels. We're all done. They are ready for installation. Stack them up. Have a nice little stack of tires. Put those aside. Because the next step, after the tires are done, we go in our booklet here. The tires are done. Step 13 and 14 and 15 are all interior, and we've already got the interior done. The interior is finished, right? The interior is ready. So the next step then is step 16. It's all taillights, more body things. These are the cutouts for the exhaust, our rear license plate bracket. We'll flip the page, bumpers, put on the hood and the front grille, inner fender wells. This is all body stuff. So really the only thing I can do right now, since the body is not done, we're not prepped yet, is this here, our firewall. I could put the expansion tank on our inner fender well. I can do that too. expansion tank, I believe, is for the coolant. It's a little weird that it's on the inner fender well, but let's find that inner fender well here. It's one of these two guys. Let's see here. Doesn't look like this one. It's this one. So we need to clean this up. I really should kind of respray this with some black. So once I got the expansion tank on it, I'm not going to be able to spray paint it. So I really should. I don't know exactly how much is going to be visible on the car, but I'm thinking I should just give them a coat of spray. I primered them, but you know, I can sort of still see a little bit of the red through, like I didn't put it on there very thick. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is just give them a quick little coat of black spray. Get a few things out of my way here in preparation for spraying. And I'll just put them down on here. Kind of give him a little spray. He wants to just... How about you sit like this? There we go. Okay. Probably going to fall right off of my thing here. Okay, so these have been sprayed now, so we gotta let those dry. So I'm not putting my expansion tank on just quite yet. So let's look at our firewall. Because our firewall is step 25. Let me fold my page here. I've been dealing with resin things a lot in the last week. Building a lot of stuff, making it out of resin, and so I've got these little bits of resin supports all over my everything, everywhere. Okay, firewall is number 44, and I gotta find that. It's over here, and it's suffering from the same problem. It needs some cleanup and therefore needs to be painted again. Otherwise she ain't gonna fit in the body. And I want it to have a nice semi-gloss look to it. How did I have that clip on there? Is that going to hold? I don't know if that's going to hold. I don't think that's going to hold. That should hold. Like that. Okay, so I need to spray this too. And that, unfortunately, is just the way it goes. So, let's put a glove on so that I don't spray paint my hand black. So it's going to take a minute for that to dry. It's super shiny now, but that's going to dull it out a little bit and become a nice semi-gloss. So I'll just let that dry. Take my glove off. There we go. Okay, let's grab a few of our parts here. Our master cylinder is this guy here, number 45, and our brake booster is 46. We can assemble those while we're waiting for the thing to dry. Here's our master cylinder and our brake booster. And we have our they're calling it our wiper canister. I'm guessing that's number 76. I'm guessing that is supposed to be our windshield wiper motor that they're calling a canister. There we go. And that ends up being the last parts on this sprue. I'll just kind of do that and that. I like to trim them down before I throw them in my garbage. It's easier when I actually put them in a garbage bag. I have a part here, number 54. What is this? I just noticed this. I never noticed this part before. I don't know what this thing is. I do not know what that is. Can you guys tell me what this is? It looks like some kind of a... I don't know what that is. What is that part supposed to represent? I am not sure. I don't know at all. I don't think it's a windshield washer fluid container. It doesn't quite look right to me. One thing that does impress me about the molding of this master cylinder is that they actually have the little metal bars that go over top of it to clamp it down, to clamp the lid down. And that to me is just a really nice little detail that you don't see a lot of times. But at the same time, I don't have any points where the brake lines would go in. And so they kind of go from, hey, we've got lots of detail on this, to, but we're not doing all the detail. I have to flatten this out on these sides here so that it will go in. We've got a great big D hole. Yes, we have a big D hole so that you don't accidentally put the master cylinder in upside down on the brake booster. That goes on there like that. It also falls off of there like that. Press that in. She's not going to stay on her own, so I'm going to have to hold it like that while I put some glue on. It is a little weird that it's got a big notch in the booster, but whatever. And so that's that. Our master cylinder is glued to our brake booster, and there we go. These are ready for installation. Now normally I would put, lately I've been putting brake lines in the cars, but I've also noticed quite a few builds, the brake lines, they kind of get in the way once you get the firewall in under the hood and everything like that. You realize your brake lines don't really like to go where they want to, or where you want to, I mean. How is this looking here? She's got a nice solid semi-gloss black coating now, which is dry enough for me to play around with. So our windshield wiper motor goes right there. That seems pretty simple enough. Doink. Just like that. I'm going to put our little nubs facing down. And I'm actually going to put glue in the hole. Like this. And then put that on there. Just hold that for a sec. There we go. Our windshield wiper motor is installed. Our brake booster and brake cylinder should be solid enough for us to put on our little pipe here, but she's a little bit tight, so I'm going to scrape a little bit of the paint away from our mounting point here. So I get a little bit better, more of a flush fit. Almost all the way around. There we go. Okay, I'll take some glue and put it in you. And shove you on there. Nice flush fit now. Just make sure it's straight up and down. And I'll apply a little more glue on the back here at the bottom. That sticks out quite a ways. Just making sure we're straight. So there we go. We've got our master cylinder and our windshield washer motor installed onto our firewall. And that's that. And then of course it would be putting the firewall into the body, but we can't do that now, can we? Now, you want to add some detail. If you like to do wiring and stuff like that, you could drill a couple of holes into this little thing maybe and run some wires across here and hide them and stuff like that. It's all up to you. I see I need to do a little bit of touch-up paint on there, so why don't I do that? Since there's not really much else I can do, I could fire up my air compressor and I could start painting some chrome stuff. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that. Let's put this aside. Let's do that, eh? Let's paint some chrome today. Let's put this away. Fire up my air compressor. Let's paint some chrome things. So I gotta paint some bumpers and the grill and stuff like that. And so let's get a few things ready for paint here. We're going to trim off some of the sprue around some of these things. Like that. That lets me get in at these angles, and also can clean up those nub marks at the same time, especially on the grill. The grill, actually, I'm going to take this completely off because this thing needs to be painted, and when I go like this, it's going to have that nasty looking mark there that I'm going to have to try and touch up. So I remember last time I discovered my grill was broken on the bumper. Not very happy about that. The location of the nub is a little unfortunate. It's right behind where the grill surround, I guess you could call it, is right there, but that's because it's sticking out. That's going to interfere with how the grill fits on the body. So we need to take care of that and make sure that is flat on the back side. That looks like it should be okay now. Okay. Okay. Of course, our bumper looks like crap here at the end. You know, I talked about the body not having any seam lines on it, but the bumper does, of all things. There we go. This is the one. This was broken here, and you can see the crack in it, so that's a little unfortunate. So I want to try and sand this down just a little bit here. I might inadvertently break it off again, just because the nature of it. Put any pressure on it and suddenly you break it off. That might be okay. It's one of those minor things that the part is a little delicate. This plastic is from 1989 or 90 or whatever. So yeah, you're gonna have some delicate stuff. Alright, so that's the grill. I've got my two bumpers here. Those can stay on there, I think, because that's the underside of them, and I'm not really going to see that, so that should be fine. What I need to do is just make sure I don't have flashing, because if you discover the flashing after it's painted, well, now you've screwed up your paint, because you've got to remove it. So just in case there's some flashing that I'm not really seeing because it's black, I'll just kind of go over it with the file everywhere and make sure. I am seeing we've got that same little parting seam or mold line on our tips, just like on the front. Okay, I think we're good on the back bumpers. Our license plate frame, I'm just going to take this off the sprue. Okay, I actually can just do this, since that's the only thing I need to paint on this is the bumpers. So I got my expansion tank there. I'll take this off. We're going to install this too today. And that'll be it for this sprue. Let's chuck that over here for now. Our expansion tank can go in our, remember our inner fender wells? Remember these? Our expansion tank is supposed to go like here. Unfortunately, they go and put the nub right on the top where you're going to see it all the time. It's going to go right there. There's this little slot kind of thing that it sits on. It goes right there. So glue onto this little tab here. And then doink. Just like that. I'll put a little bit more just to make sure. So obviously I am going to have to touch up the top of that expansion tank in that little spot there, but yeah, so that's that. Okay. Let's get rid of this and clean up the edges of our thing where it's connected to the sprue, and I've got a parting seam here on the bottom. Alright, so a couple of things we need to do in preparation. I'm going to be spraying this stuff. And when you buy this stuff, it comes with two bottles. You get a bottle like that with your silver, and then you get a bottle of clear. It comes with a brush. You get a brush in the jar. And that's how I painted the wheels. I painted my wheels with the brush. But we're going to spray this. And I'm going to utilize some blue tack. Blue tack. You can see this package has seen a lot of stuff. And I just ripped that off. That's fine. So what I like to do, I like to use this stuff sparingly. So what I'll do is just cut like this, and then this. Just take a little piece, put it on the back of this, and then I'll take one of my alligator clips and just do that, and there you go. And that's going to hold it now. And I'm going to do the same on the back of my grill. Okay, just go doink, and then take an alligator clip. Doink. And that's good enough to hold it. Okay, put that back in there. All right, so let's shake this up. Airbrush ready to go. I'm going to spray right at the bench here. Okay, I'm going to move my coffee out of the way. Out of the way of the overspray. And I'm going to get some paper towel here because I don't actually want to spray paint my bench chrome. Move a few things out of my way so that I can actually do this. I'll just lay this down. A little extra paper towel just for any kind of spray, overspray. Okay, there we go. Shake this again just to make sure. And see, that's one thing I do not like about these things, is the way they've got the brush held into the lid. This keeps falling out on me. And I don't like that. And I have to keep retrieving it out of the jar. Now I just touched my finger with this stupid thing. I might as well just do this. Fuck it. So I get chrome on my fingers. My fingers are chrome now. Okay, let's pour a little into our jar. In my jar. My airbrush. Really don't need a lot because, well, we're only doing a few little parts. Let's wipe off my threads and put this back in. Nice and tight. Okay. So, back to that. Alright, I'm just going to do a little test spray back here. Yep, she sprays good. Alright, let's start with our license plate frame. This stuff goes on very quickly. It's very thin. It's super thin. Now you notice I didn't mix it or anything. So there we go. That's that. License plate frame is done. Let's do our grill. There we go, there's our grill. Much nicer looking. You do want it to have be a little thick, okay? And unfortunately I can see the crack in my bumper there on that side, but well, it is what it is, you know. Okay, let's put that aside. And now our rear bumpers. There we go. So the thicker you put it on, the more chromy it looks. It's really, if you can do a nice wet coat but not have it run, that would be ideal. Okay, let's put my brush down for a second here while I put these in my little holder. There we go. And we have our luggage rack. We got to do the luggage rack. We haven't done that yet. We haven't looked at my luggage rack in a long time. But since I'm spraying now, I might as well get her done. I want to get that little peg there, just like that. Okay. Let's start from the underneath. There we go, we got a little chrome luggage rack now. Trying to get it right on that peg too, so that I get it everywhere and get a kind of wet coat everywhere on this thing. So if you can get it so it's really wet, then it's perfect. There we go, there's our chrome luggage rack now. Alright, let that dry. Let it all dry. Let it all dry. And so that's it. So now I'm going to pour my excess back into here. That is one thing that's unfortunate, but for me, living in Canada, this stuff is available on Amazon.com, and but not Amazon.ca. So that is unfortunate for me, but I could still get it. When I bought this, the shipper shipped to Canada also, so I could still, even though I was on Amazon.com, they shipped to Canada, so I was able to get this. I actually looked a short time ago, maybe about a week ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, I looked online and they no longer ship to Canada. So once this is done, I'm done. Pretty much. Where's my box? There it is. So once my little box is finished, then I guess I'm finished painting with this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes or so cleaning my airbrush, and then we'll come back, okay? See, my chat is, you know, like what, the last 4 or 5 streams that I've done, my chat has been dead silent. I don't even know if anybody's watching me. In fact, one of my streams last week, I had literally zero. It showed, my statistics showed 0 unique viewers. Like what? Like I literally had nobody watching me. Like, thanks a lot. Way to make me feel liked. Not. It's kind of hard to tell if I've got chrome paint on my needle and the needle is polished. Everybody's doing time. Nobody cares if you hit your face. Win or lose, you won't get this chance again. Why not? Done. Okay, so airbrush is clean and we're done. We're done with the chrome. So I am literally going to let our chrome pieces dry for a few days before I really touch them at all. I want the chrome to cure and harden. I could put a clear coat over them, but the clear is going to dullien it just a little bit, and I don't like that. I like to have that bright chrome look. Which then you might ask me, well then why did you strip the chrome if you like the chrome look? Well, because the kit chrome it's just like, you know, like a lot of people say that it's too toy looking, it's toyish, and it's true, it is, it's thick, and it does take away some of the detail on the molded part. Because they do put it on thick. So by removing it, you get back a little bit of that detail. And I mean the fact that it's sprayed on and it's not so thick, I can actually see the detail in the grill in behind it where it was painted black, and it looks more realistic than it did when it was chrome from the kit. It's still extremely shiny and very chrome-like, but it just looks a little more realistic. Anyway, there isn't anything I can do more until the body's done. And so that being said, it's a good opportunity to let these things dry, let these cure for over the next few days, and can work on the body. The body, of course, is simply just the monotonous wet sand, paint, 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 rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to be doing it that many times, but maybe later on today I'm going to wet sand this, and then I'll do another coat. progressively thickening it up very slightly until I get it to the point where I look at this and I don't see any scratches. And that's what I'm going for. I can see a few little scratches here on my gas tank. I can see a few on our roof, and a few little scratches here just behind our headlights. So yeah, I need to sand those a little bit, put another coat, and do that kind of thing. So once I get down to a point where I'm not seeing any scratches, then I'm good, and we can do a clear on it. The clear, I haven't decided what clear exactly. I might use the GX100. I have some of that. I've yet to use it. I want to kind of use this as my learning experience on using my airbrush to spray clear. Because normally, like I said last time, I just use the rattle can stuff. Even when I did a 2K clear, it was out of a rattle can. So I want to practice. And this is a perfect opportunity for me to practice and to learn how to spray clear. Yeah. So this is kind of where I need to leave it for now, which means this is going to be the end of the video. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for joining me on this. This build has been pretty good. It's pretty decent. Yeah, getting the engine and the exhaust lined up was a bit of a challenge, but other than that was okay. Yeah, we're getting there. We're almost done. A few more episodes will be done, guys. I want to thank you again for watching and invite you to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already, please. And I guess we're going to see you all in the next one.